never let you go.
Deborah Winters. Actually, I'm going to move this down here, if that's okay, Deborah.
Oh, that's fine.
That was a beautiful song, yes? You know, the holidays can be very challenging, too. How many people in here are missing somebody? And so how do we hold all of this? How do we really hold this? Because this is the thing about unity. Unity often is called like, well, it's the feel-good community, right? It's all about being good. It's all about being positive. It's all about being happy. How many people in here are happy all the time? How many people in here are positive all the time? What this teaching is actually about is offering practical guidance, spiritual guidance, to be able to navigate the ups and downs that we all experience in this human part of what we're here for. That's what we're here for. So we don't deny the fact that maybe there are times when we feel this barren, where there is no pretty, where there is no yum, where there is nothing that feels like it's blooming or flowering, that it actually feels like something's dead inside. And then there's that single light. And I don't know about you, but when I look at our Advent wreath and I see that single light, there's a beauty there for me in that. There's a beauty in the truth of that, that even in the midst of our barrenness, even in the midst of our unhappiness, of our grief, of our loss, that there is this light. And what we call that light in unity is faith. That's what we call that light. And in unity, we understand it to be a power. We understand it to be something that each of us is innately born with. You all already have faith. You all have the ability to believe, to intuit, and to perceive. That's how we define what faith is. Now, Eric Butterworth would go a little bit further, and he would say that faith is our spiritual capacity to form and shape the very substance of all. It's very Eric Butterworth. But it is our capacity to actually shape, to intuit, to believe something. And all of us are doing this. All of you right now are shaping the very substance of all. Now, are you shaping it in a way that brings you joy and fulfillment? That is the true question. Our power of faith is always active within us. It's not something we have to discover. It's not something that we have to understand. We are it already. The question that we get to ask ourselves is, how am I using that capacity? How am I bringing consciousness to my capacity to believe, to my capacity to shape and to form? So I ask you this question: what is it that you have faith in? What is the thing that you are rock solid about? Sometimes the things that we're rock solid about are that I'm not worthy. I'm rock solid about the fact that somehow I'm never going to be enough. We have faith in all kinds of things that actually don't serve us. So the question becomes then, what would you like to have faith in? That, for me, is where I begin. What would I like to have faith in? What can Paul Hasselbeck would call it our adjacent possible. I may not be something I can actually feel into right now, but what's like the next closest thing? So if I'm struggling with a health challenge, there we are with my foot, right? Adjacent possible might be that I go out dancing and I ice my foot and I wake up the next day and I know that I'm okay. Thinking that I can go out dancing for 2 hours like a lunatic and not have any sort of negative impact on that, that's too far away. Can you feel how far away that is? So I can't actually believe that. It's not real to me. And if it doesn't really live in us, then it's not actually something I believe in. Can you feel that? It's like we hear all about how people take our affirmations and, they say things like, I have $1 million in the bank. Does anybody actually believe that if you only have like $5 in the bank? I mean, really, where's the adjacent possible? What is it that you can imagine yourself having faith in? What's that next step outward? So Charles Fillmore is sort of famous for, this is paraphrasing him because he said it a lot, but he says, you should not hope, but know. Release doubt, stand in your faith, and claim your good. Now this is like classic New Thought, right? Classic New Thought. You don't hope, you know. Release that doubt. Bye-bye doubt. Off you go. You're gone, and now I'm just gonna stand in my good. Does that ever work for any of us, really? I mean, let's really be honest here. I don't know about you, but I struggle. So, we come back to Scripture. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So faith is not hope. Can you feel that? Faith is the assurance of the thing that I can hope for. So hope is the precursor to faith. And if you listen to Charles Fillmore, you would think, well, I shouldn't hope, like that's a bad thing, right? I shouldn't hope, I should know. I need to know. But the reality is that we are continually being invited to step into the doubts that we have, because that's actually where we're gonna grow. I don't grow from the things I already know. Do you grow from the things you already know? We grow from the things that we have doubts and questions about. That's where we actually grow. So from your Advent book, Mark Fuss, in one of his readings, he writes this, which I just thought was so beautiful. What if doubt is not the opposite of faith, but rather part of the process of faith? Doubt is a way of moving ourselves through the questions and uncertainty into a place where we can plant our feet and stand in faith. Can you feel how that feels useful? Let go of, don't hope, no. I don't know about you, but that's not very useful for me. This is incredibly useful for me. What if I use my doubt and my questions and my uncertainty? What if I use all of that? And that's one of the things I love about this teaching. When I started this teaching, did I struggle. I mean, I struggled. I had so many questions. I was just like, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? This doesn't make sense to me. What are you talking about? I had a litany of questions. My Science of Mind textbook was just highlighted with like exclamation points and question marks all over it. And my teacher looked at me when I came in with all my questions. Answer them, please. And she looked at me and she said, well, you're going to have to sit with that, aren't you? I was furious. I was so mad. I was like, sit with it. You tell me the answer. It was the process of answering those questions that actually has brought me to where I am now in my faith, in my journey. It was my willingness to not know. And well, it was really uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable for me to not know. I struggled with that because, I was a straight A student. I was the person who got 100 on every test, give me the answer and I can spit it back out to you. And what this teaching was saying to me is, there is no answer to spit back to anybody except what you actually intuit yourself. And that is the process of faith, what it is that I am standing in. We come up against these hard places in our life. Anybody come up against a hard place in your life? And it's really easy to use those hard places and as an excuse to not have faith. You know, these really horrible things happen to me, so I don't have any faith. But you actually do. You have faith that those horrible things happen to you and that they are going to continue to impact you negatively for the rest of your life. That's what you have faith in. Now, I'm not saying there's not trauma in the world, because there is. But we have an opportunity. This is a healing tradition. This is about healing those places within inside of us that feel irreconcilable. It is the space within us that is filled with the doubts and the concerns and the worries and the questions and the not knowing, that is asking to be healed, that's asking to make sense of something in a really embodied, whole way. And that's why we have this wreath, this circle, this wholeness that we are. That as we anchor our faith, it's going to lead us to peace and love and joy. And from there, we can reveal more easily the truth of who we actually are. So our valleys, they are not reasons to deny faith. They are opportunities to see beyond the surface of what we think we already know. And most importantly, they are an opportunity to have a direct experience of the divine. Because that is what we are inviting you into again and again and again. All of that we do here, the lighting of the candles, the stepping into prayer, the talk, the practice, the meditation before service, all of it is to support your being able to have a direct experience of the divine. Myrtle Fillmore says she was navigating a lot of health challenges, which I've shared a number of times with all of you, around tuberculosis, and she had a lot of other things going on. And in one of her letters, she says, "But my faith and the faith of those who could see a little further than I helped to hold me steadfast. I reasoned that my past experiences had not been satisfying, that I could at least turn my mind to new ideas and give them a thorough trial." That's what I'm inviting all of us into. If what you are living into is working for you, woohoo, go ring that bell, go give yourself a gold star. But those places, those spaces where you are feeling that incongruence between the truth of who you are and what is actually showing up in time and in space, that's a place for you to lean in, turn your mind to a new idea, and try it out and see what happens. This is why we come together in spiritual community, because, Jesus was able to do it, Buddha was able to do it, other great masters have been able to do it, to hold the truth. But even Jesus needed disciples, needed the support, needed the reflection back, so that in those moments when we can't see quite far enough, someone else can see it for us and can hold it for us. That's what prayer chaplains do. That's what prayer chaplains are here for. But that's also what we all do as a community. We hold the vision for each other as the greatest, the highest that is possible. And you know what? I know that I can hold a bigger vision for you than I can hold for myself. Anybody else in here agree with that? I can see the light that you are. Whew. so easily. Like it stops my heart sometimes to see the light. And yet when I look in the mirror, that's not always what I see. My critical voice kicks in. So I say, bring your doubt. I say, bring your questions. This teaching is built to handle your doubt. This teaching is built to handle your questions. Bring your hope. If you don't think you have faith until you sort of understand what it is you have faith in, just bring hope. Bring hope that there's something more that you can have faith in. I found this poem, and I wanted to share it because I think it really highlights the things that we actually give our faith to. So this was written by Rich Orloff, and it is a response to Psalm 23. And it's called A Prayer for Choosing a Shepherd. Unlike sheep, each of us gets to choose our shepherd. I have sampled many shepherds and haven't always chosen wisely. I have chosen ego as my shepherd and confined myself to a path no wider than I am. I have chosen tribalism as my shepherd and refused to look beyond borders of my own making. I have chosen comfort as my shepherd and satisfied myself with meager grazing. I have chosen obligation as my shepherd and filled my path with resentment. I have chosen distrust as my shepherd and viewed every other sheep as a possible threat. I have chosen fear of rejection as my shepherd and convinced myself that I am still a fragile little lamb. I have chosen fear of death as my shepherd and prevented myself from seeing how beautiful this life is. If I allow the divine to become my shepherd, this choice stems not from wisdom, but from the simple admission of how poor my choices have been so far. Still, as I consider choosing the divine as my shepherd, I fear the divine will turn me into a sheep, or one day banish me from the flock, or even lead me to slaughter. As I wonder who to choose, I see that God has already chosen me. I stand before the divine, praying for the courage to trust my shepherd. How many of us have done that? Chosen distrust to be the thing that we have faith in. Choosing the sense of lack and limitation, choosing our ego, choosing the smallness. Comfort, that's a big one, yeah? Meager grazing. Whew. So the invitation is to examine where it is that you have actually placed your faith. What is it that you are feeding with your belief and your intuition and your capacity to form and shape your very life? And then bring your doubts to that. Bring your hope that there's something else possible. Bring all of your questions and know that the answer, you are the answer. You are the answer. Everything you could possibly think you needed, you already are, you already have. When we step out in faith, we are inviting ourselves to welcome the barren landscape and to know that from this, we can choose what it is that we wish to grow and tend and give our attention to. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. This is the truth of who you are. No matter how dark it may seem, the light shines in the darkness. Your faith is the light that always shines in the darkness. So begin with what you do know and question everything and see what arises. So let's take this into our time of meditation. beginning with what we do know, beginning with what it is that we have such a surety about. Gonna just take whatever might have been stirred up for you, whatever you might have recognized within yourself, and just inviting the question, what is it that I have faith in? Really, not the answer that you think is supposed to be on the spiritual test. But what is it that I actually pour my faith into? And what if you called that light back to yourself just for a moment? Consciously recollecting yourself in that space, that place that is barren and infinite potential simultaneously. And just welcoming the barrenness, the not knowing. Allowing yourself to listen deeply, allowing that intuition, that deep wisdom, the wellspring that is your true nature and your true name. Just welcoming that. And just sitting with whatever your question is as we rest together for a few moments in the silence. What is it that you would like to have faith in? What is the vision of what's possible from this place of stillness, from this place of wisdom, from this place that is infinite love and absolute compassion? What is it that you wish to consciously place your faith in for this week? Allowing yourself to try something new. Allowing yourself to experiment and to see what else might arise during this time of Advent. How grateful I am for this time together, for this opportunity to be still and know, knowing that our faith continues to speak and guide and support in ways that we can understand. And so it is. Amen. Ashe.